Hello again, UWA Elite fans. This is your second favorite professional wrestling commentator, the man of 1,000 spreadsheets, MC Hale, coming to you with the card rundown. Now, the bad news is this is our last rundown, as it is our final event for UWA Elite. But the good news, this is a ridiculously stacked card, blending the past and present of UWA with what looks like a bright future for New Jersey independent wrestling. We're going to talk about it all right here. Now, as I said, this is UWA Elite Series Finale, our swan song, if you will, and it is fittingly called Raise the Bar. It is happening this Saturday, March 14th. Now, there's a special earlier start time for this one. We're kicking this all off an hour ahead of our normal schedule. Doors will be open at 5 p.m. Bell time is still half an hour later, which means the action gets underway at 5:30. Now, of course, we're at the South River VFW, the UWA Elite Army base, at 31 Reid Street in South River, New Jersey. And if you look at that Raise the Bar logo, you'll see the background is the VFW hall itself. So why the early start? Well, we've got 32 wrestlers on this card, which as far as I can tell, may be a UWA Elite record for non-Battle Royal events. And every match, when you boil it down, is centered on legacy and pride, with maybe some grudges helping out on that last bit. Let's get to the rundown. Well, we normally start out with the title matches, and specifically the UWA Elite Championship, and I see no reason to change that now, especially when this one contains so many moving parts. And by moving parts, I mean wrestlers, 7 of them as a matter of fact. Now, Ty Thomas, who won his first UWA Elite Championship in a brutal I Quit match with Eric Corvus at Last Breath, one that literally tore the ring apart, has decided to put that gambler moniker to the test. He has issued a challenge to any and all former UWA Elite champions to participate in a winner-take-all Lucky 7 match. The way the Lucky 7 match will work is as follows. 3 of the competitors chosen at random will start off in the ring. Every 4 minutes, another name is drawn, and they enter the match as well. Think of it as somewhere between the Cell Block 6 match and the Brawl for It All, 2 matches that have always been favorites of the UWA Elite Army. Now, eliminations can happen at any time, and the last man standing will be the final UWA Elite champion. And of course, the most important part, the competitors. Well, of course, we start out with the current UWA Elite champ, Ty Thomas. Not only the man walking in with the belt around his waist, but the gambler has at times flown a bit under the radar while racking up those accolades that made him good as gold. A 2-time Ironman champion, winner of the Golden Ticket, 2-time Wrestler of the Year, and perhaps most impressive, winning the 2025 Brawl for It All as the only wrestler in UWA Elite history to start the match and outlast all 29 other competitors to win the whole thing. Now, returning to the UWA Elite ring is Hedges, one of 5 Hall of Famers to take Ty up on his challenge. The dealer of the Diamondback Driver is also a Grand Slam champion and was voted Wrestler of the Year in 2015. KTB, also in the Hall of Fame, had 2 UWA Elite title reigns, including the longest in our history at 435 days. Grand Slam champion as well, the record for longest amount of time in a Brawl for It All, and Wrestler of the Year. Now, a man who, under other circumstances, would be his tag team partner, Robbie Roller. A Hall of Famer himself, the Hunter is the 3rd of 3 Grand Slam champions in the Lucky 7. He is a 3-time Crossroads champ and has a Brawl victory and a Wrestler of the Year award to boot. Now, we did hear from Roller and KTB that the Do or Die Posse has a plan. Work together to eliminate the other 5 competitors, and then, may the better man win. Joey Adams, a 2-time UWA Elite champion, is entrant number 5 in this match. Along with those 2 title reigns, the Antihero has held gold in the tag team division. Twice he's been I-Champ, and he has victories in both the Brawl and the Crossroads tournament. Another notable return to the UWA Elite ring is 4-time Wrestler of the Year, Arcadia. Now, we heard from Arcadia saying he was the only true Day 1 UWA wrestler in this match. He claims he was told to downplay his talent, but decided to step away rather than step down. And in case you didn't catch it, he closed with an edited Raise the Bar logo reading, "I set the bar." There are only 4 3-time UWA Elite champs in our history. One of them is Arcadia. Another one of those 4 3-time champs was also the first UWA Elite champion ever, Sean Damage McNellis. In addition to the big belt, Damage has held the I-Championship, the Ironman Championship, the Golden Ticket, won the Crossroads tournament twice, along with the Brawl for It All and a Wrestler of the Year award. 7 incredible competitors in the ring with 14 UWA Elite Championship title reigns among them. SDM perfectly summed up what I think everyone in this match will be feeling when he said he felt honored to share the ring with the other 6 and everyone who has ever been in a UWA Elite ring. But for now, there's work to be done, and he has to prevent the other 6 from getting the thing that they all want the most. It is your main event, the final match in UWA Elite history. 7 UWA Elite champions set their sights on winning or retaining that title one more time at Raise the Bar in the Gamblers' Lucky 7 match. Well, from one best of the best match to another, we got to drop in on a phone call between the UWA Elite Tag Team Champions, Matt Vertigo and Corey Dillinger, Diligent Enterprise. They talked about Ty's challenge to the former champs and decided that the best way to cement their legacy as the best tag team UWA Elite has ever had is to issue an open challenge of their own to any former champions of the tag team division. Now, that challenge was answered by 3 very familiar names with more than a few accolades among them. The Brotein Pack 2-time tag champions TJ Blade and Mike Seaway were voted Tag Team of the Year on 4 separate occasions. They were the final Trios champions alongside partner Dynamite Davis and won the Tag Team Combat Cup. The reforming team of Pretty Freakin' Ugly, Jay the Key Evans and Explosive Eddie Thomas, will join forces once again to see if they can add a 3rd Tag Team title championship to their resumes. And returning to the UWA Elite ring are the X-Express, V. Daniel and Troy Locke. They're former Tag Team champions in their own right, and they were your 2024 Tag Team of the Year. Now, this will be a fatal 4-way matchup. 2 men inside the ring, you can tag anyone in, and the first team to score a pinfall or submission will be announced for the final time as your UWA Elite Tag Team Champions. Now, with most matches, you can logic your way through the matchup, strength versus weakness, but the 4 teams have 4 wildly differing in-ring styles. All current former champions, this one is anybody's match to take. Once again, it is the Brotein Pack, Pretty Freakin' Ugly, and the X-Express challenging the Diligent Enterprise for the tag team titles this Saturday at Raise the Bar. So, a peek behind the curtain here. I had this rundown all noted and scripted out, talking about the chase for Bo's 547-day Ironman title reign, and then we got a video from the UWA Elite Ironman champion Jungle Jim Wilder, and, well, here I am, a bit sleep-deprived. There's not going to be much analysis of the actual match here. I'll let Wilder's video speak for itself on what to expect. But in case you haven't seen it yet, or if it hasn't even aired yet, honestly I'm not sure what the timing of our social media is going to be, here is the recap. Wilder recorded some odd things happening in his home. Drawers and cabinets open, faucets running, some real poltergeist kind of stuff. He was convinced it was somehow the doing of his Raise the Bar opponent John Bowes. Wilder approached others who have faced off against him in the past to get some advice. Now, Robbie Roller said he basically had to get as crazy as Bowes, choking him with a chain until he stopped breathing. Unlikely voice of reason BT Bull said he never was able to overcome the mind games, seeking protection from the contingent, among others. The desperate Wilder even went to Eric Corvus, former leader of the contingent, who Wilder had some influence in their eventual dismantling. Corvus admonished Wilder for letting Bowes back into the ring. Corvus retired him. He was done. Until Wilder maybe went a bit too far in declaring he would be remembered as the greatest Ironman champion in UWA Elite history. Corvus said that Jungle Jim had no chance against Bowes, but if James Wilder was somehow able to put aside his fear, maybe he'd survive. After Wilder actually invited Bowes into his home for a face-to-face, and Bowes swore up and down that it was all in Wilder's head, we saw some truly disturbing things, courtesy of Bowes. Not only minor things like opening cabinets and turning on faucets, but standing over Emily, Wilder's wife, while she slept, standing over their infant's crib, and perhaps most unsettling, he was seen on the baby monitor holding the baby in his arms while thanking Wilder for, quote, reminding me who I am. Now, I'm not sure exactly what has been awakened in our friendly neighborhood cameraman. He is not our friend John, the production guy, anymore. He's gone back to being something a lot more, well, wretched. Wilder responded with a promise to defend his family and take away the greatest title that Bowes is clinging to, the thing that Wilder says is what the wretched one loves the most. Can Wilder take the advice to heart from Corvus and Emily to put aside what his wife referred to as good guy Jim? Can he tap into the crazy like Roller said? Will he choose to live to fight another day with the advice of BT Bull? Or will the wretched Bose sew one more name onto the back of his coat? The name of the last man to ever challenge him for the title of longest reigning, of greatest Ironman champion ever. It's Ironman champion Jungle Jim Wilder facing off in an emotionally charged title contest as he defends at Raise the Bar against the wretched Bose. While we're on the topic of personality changes, there have perhaps been none greater than the one we've seen in King Tech over the past few years. He was the fighting king, the leader of the UWA Elite Army. His elaborate entrances at Crossroads have become something of a legend in their own right. And he had a 12-year winning streak at last breath, and then, well, that streak ended in 2023 at the hands of a then relative newcomer, Flash Carter. Now, something in Tech seemed to snap that night. The next several months, any bumps in the road, any difficulties that Tech faced were the fault of the fans. With the newly named Mad Queen by his side whispering things like "do what must be done," Tech became the Red Lion, speaking of a great awakening that never seemed to be properly defined. It seemed to be a battle cry more than an actual event. Along the way, people like Eddie Thomas and Bulldog Pittman stood in Tech's way, and not necessarily by choice. Pittman in particular was dragged into conflicts just by the coincidence of him challenging for the I Championship. Sneak attacks by Tech put Bulldog on the shelf for an extended period. Even challenges between Bulldog and Eddie were subject to Tech's interference. Which brings us to last breath 4 months ago. After employing weapons like his cane and a set of iron keys, Tech and the Mad Queen brought out their most effective one yet, a canine shock collar. The Triple Threat I Championship match was indeed decided by the use of that weapon, Tech basically electrocuting Pittman, and after a technicality to ensure Bulldog was fully incapacitated, the Red Lion walked away with the title belt. But now, when faced with the end of his legacy, the end of UWA Elite, Tech has changed his tune from "we are all the ghosts of UWA's past" to "the Fighting King lives." Has the Great Awakening become a self-fulfilling prophecy? Has Tech woken up and seen the light? And if you're Bulldog, how do you deal with this? How do you strategize? We know Pittman's athletic prowess can carry him through pure wrestling matches. We know that when he's ready for dirty tactics, he can counter. But this is a great big question mark. Which Tech is walking through the curtain on March 14th? And can Bulldog possibly be ready for either type of match? Well, that question may be an easier one to answer than we thought, as it was announced that not only will this match determine the final I Champion in UWA Elite history, but it will also be a shock collar match. That's right, honor and fair play will very likely be taking a back seat when either competitor can put that collar around their opponent's neck, or any other body part, I guess. Oh, we're going to have to call that on commentary. And send the electricity coursing through fried muscles and nerves. Is the Fighting King truly back, having experienced his own great awakening? Can Pittman avenge the ambushes and injuries to use that shock collar, or the shock collar, and take that title into the sunset? We will find out this Saturday at Raise the Bar when the Fighting King, the Red Lion, King Tech, faces off against Bulldog Pittman for the UWA Elite I Championship in a shock collar match. We have a match that should have been a really nice moment for the UWA Elite fans. A 6-man tag featuring 2 of the mainstays of UWA, Chris Powers and Ryan T, and 4 of the newer members of the roster in E-Money Millie, and also Ryan Rise, Ethan Promise, and Miles Penn of the Lost Boys. We even saw Ryan T going through his bag, reminiscing about his first matches, and Chris Powers on the phone with Ryan, thinking about the first moments of his own career. We could have blended that with the newer careers in a nice kumbaya exhibition matchup. But then the Lost Boys had to go and run down the group that Ryan T referred to as the Funtingent, Ryan, Millie, and Powers. They were supposed to face legends, not bums in their last matches and a cheat like Millie. Powers responded on behalf of the group saying it was the dumbest thing the Lost Boys could have done, inviting a legendary ass-whooping. And to give the obligatory pros and cons here, the Funtingent, and I have no idea if that's going to be their official name or not, but I don't care, I'm using it. They are a newly allied group, and not only that, but the only thing they really had in common, membership in the contingent, is now gone. As opposed to Penn, Rise, and Promise, who have been a literal award-winning team, finding success with all different permutations. As a matter of fact, they spent months feuding with one another about how to make each other better in their own way, but it did solidify them again as a group. But, back on the contingent side, the three wrestlers bring three very different styles to the ring. Millie's high-flying, Ryan T's misdirection, and Power's technical skill means that the Lost Boys have to essentially prepare three completely different game plans. It's Eighth and Promise, Miles Penn, and Ryan Rise, the Lost Boys, taking on E-Money Millie, Chris Powers, and One of One Ryan T in a 6-man tag match, and it's happening this Saturday at Raise the Bar. And speaking for one final time about the contingent. When we last saw the group who tried to tear down and run the entire company, Chris Powers, Ryan T, and E-Money Millie were in the middle of resigning from the contingent, throwing their matching shirts at the feet and in the face of former leader Eric Corvus. But none were quite as emphatic about their resignations as one Brandon B.T. Bull. After helping the mat mechanic to his feet, Bull just got a slap in the face for his efforts. And Bull saw red. With one of the cleanest knockout punches you'll see in any sports ring, Bull put every insult, every put down, every belittling word into putting Corvus to sleep. But that wasn't good enough for Bull. We saw a meeting between Corvus and UWA Elite President Dave Swan. Eric was already riled up from being told he wouldn't be in Ty's Lucky 7 match, but when he saw why, he was incensed. Bull demanded and Swan agreed that the last chapter of this story still needed to be told. The Bull against the mat mechanic. Bull said he didn't even want a spot in the Lucky 7, even though as a former champion he deserved it. He wanted a shot one-on-one at his former mentor instead. Corvus went back to trying to control Bull, calling him a joke who lost his hair, his mask, and fell short in Crossroads and Brawl. Bull pointed out that he lost friendships too, with Ty and with Nick Kay, all because of Corvus. Challenges were issued with Corvus demanding to prove his superiority in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. Bull raised the stakes and Swan signing off on it. So this Saturday at Raise the Bar, you, the UWA Elite fans, will bear witness to a 3 Stages of Hell match. It is indeed a best 2 of 3, with each fall having a different stipulation. The first fall can only be scored by pinfall. The second, submissions only. And the third, well, if we're tied at 1 and need a deciding third fall, Swan has declared it will be for a stipulation never before seen in UWA Elite history. Now, I'm going to point out something that I'm sure Bull and Corvus have already figured out, so no big strategy reveal here. But those first 2 falls, if they can't be won by disqualification, that also means they can't be lost by DQ either. Just saying. But that third fall, I did some research because, of course I did, and I'm not sure if a lumberjack match is technically possible here. I believe it was in UWA and not UWA Elite, but splitting hairs. But brass knuckles, that would certainly fit the competitors. Maybe a Nick Kay on a pole match. That's it, right? It's gotta be. But all jokes aside, neither man is going to want to get to a third fall. My prediction is that they're both going to try and beat each other so senseless in the first fall that they'll easily take the second one as well. It'll be a brutal battle, as the mat mechanic says he'll be forced to slum it in the undercard against his former bodyguard, the man he trusted to keep him safe. It's Eric Corvus and BT Bull putting it all on the line at Raise the Bar in a 3 Stages of Hell match. With this event having the significance that it does, we're welcoming back some of the veterans of the UWA Elite Ring, ones that were here 20 years ago. Obviously, we have the current roster, the ones who you've been cheering on the entire year. But how about a special feature match for 3 men who we maybe haven't seen for a little while, but, well, maybe have a bit less gray than some of us? This is the Welcome Back Triple Threat match, and it's got 3 of the most entertaining wrestlers to grace the UWA Elite Ring. The Dragonborn, Drake Chambers, who wasted no time at all making a name for himself, taking home Newcomer of the Year honors in his rookie season, and later holding the I-Championship multiple times, as well as the Golden Ticket. Boom Harden, former Tag Team of the Year winner with Deshaun Pratt and CMD, he says that the company welcomed him in like family, and he'll use the Nuketown Dragon nickname one last time for our curtain call. And I'm thrilled to see Joey Silver returning as well. Sweet Cheeks pointed out with some questionable paleontology that despite facing off against two quote-unquote dragons in this match, dragons were in fact extinct, but he'd be dragging Chambers and Harden around the ring. Now, with so many grudges and scores being settled at Raise the Bar, this may be the closest thing we get to competition purely for the love of professional wrestling. There's no titles, no bad blood, just three men all vying to prove that they're the best. This Saturday, it's Drake Chambers, Boom Harden, and Joey Silver, one-on-one in a welcome back triple threat match. Well, we talked about grudges, we talked about welcoming back some wrestlers who have been away for a bit, we've even talked about some factions trying to push some others around. Well, for the final match of this rundown, why don't we combine all three? Big Dan Wynant and the man they call Magic have been friends, have been brothers for decades. And not just in the UWA locker room either. We know that Magic is at least partially responsible for the careers of so many of the area's pro wrestling stars. As a matter of fact, when Robbie Roller and KTB were threatening Magic after the Magic Dan match at Gold Rush 2024, it was Big Dan who stood back to back with Magic, shielding the icon from Dan's own brother, KTB. But a plan had already been formed behind Magic's back, literally behind his back, as Big Dan planted a Cypress-supplied steel chair right between the shoulder blades of Magic. Well, the Do or Die posse was reformed that night, but what was dismantled was the trust, the friendship between Dan and Magic. And that is what had Magic telling the UWA Elite fans that he felt betrayed and wants nothing more out of his final UWA Elite match than to get his hands on Big Dan Wynant. To quote the man himself, "I'm gonna whoop your ass." And while that's a sentiment we can all get behind, remember what happened that night that he's referring to. Big Dan joined forces with Roller, KTB, and Cypress. All of the best intentions in the world won't help when the Do or Die posse has it out for you. I think Magic's only shot at a true one-on-one match here is that Roller and KTB may be preoccupied with the Lucky 7 match. As for Cypress, I'm not sure that anything short of me and JC tying him to his commentary chair will keep him from making one last play for victory. This Saturday, we've got the Icon Magic looking for revenge against the Do or Die posse's Big Dan Wynant, one-on-one at Raise the Bar. A special start time for one incredibly special event. It's the finale of the 2.5-decade-long series we call UWA Elite. We open the doors for Raise the Bar this Saturday at 5 p.m. Bell time is at 5:30. We'll be at the UWA Elite Army Base, the South River VFW, 31 Reid Street in South River, New Jersey. Get your tickets to see the stars of UWA Elite. Follow us on all the social media for late-breaking announcements, videos, and results. Folks, it has been an absolute honor, privilege, and highlight of my professional wrestling career to be able to say to the UWA Elite Army, this is the man of 1,000 spreadsheets, MC Hale, saying I will see you at ringside.